your host. And I have a great guest today. It's a little family reunion of sorts. I have my brother, Joe Miralles.
Hello.
He is a musician, singer, and songwriter. So today's day is about him. This is to learn about his journey of, being in the music business and, what that's done for his life, but also even bringing enjoyment to other people's lives with his talent that he has with singing and songwriting. So tell me about that journey. Joe, it's been, this journey started years ago.
Yep,
I mean, I know
absolutely.
that just being his sister, that he had an interest in music since he was, probably in elementary school. So
Absolutely.
take us on that journey.
No worries. So thank you, Ann, for having me. Congratulations on your show. This is great. Beautiful place, beautiful set, and congratulations again. So the journey for me in the music industry started many years ago, as Ann mentioned. I was making lots of racket in the basement at my parents' house. My parents bought my first drum set probably when I was 13. I started taking drum lessons early on. I was in concert band. I was in marching band. Again, started out as a drummer. So that was my main interest. Drumming influences range of all sorts of different rock and pop and new wave, whatever that might be. I want to say somewhere around when I was about 18 or 19, I put an ad in the paper looking for local artists to play with, and I found some local guys to play with. We started a band. These guys were in college and I was still in high school. We started playing in and around Temple University here in Philadelphia, but then also started playing the clubs on South Street. So the old J.C. Dobbs, many of you remember, the Khyber Pass, the TLA, you name it, a bunch of different clubs that I've played, the Trocadero. The band was called the Bensons. It started that band as my kind of my first band. We did that for a few years. Had the pleasure of going up to New York for the College Music Journal. They have like a conference. It's CMJ. So we had the opportunity of doing that and going up to New York. So that was pretty neat. So after doing that for a few years, touring up and down, I'd say the East Coast, I decided I want to do something a little bit different. So I started getting into the guitar and writing my own material. At that time, I think the first club I ever played, I was 19 years old, and I think I wasn't allowed to be in the bar too long. I actually had to leave. I think I can't even remember. But had the opportunity to play with those guys, and then I kind of decided that I'm going to start doing my own material. You probably remember that. I had a 4-track demo recorder, a Tascam on cassette, and I started writing my own stuff. I knew some other local musicians, so I started working with some other guys and some friends and put together this band called the Bathers. We were playing out in the early 90s into the mid 90s. Had the pleasure of playing the Tin Angel, Grape Street Pub, a bunch of different places. I had sent out a demo of our material up to New York City, got some interest from some companies that were doing management for bands, and so we actually ended up being signed to this contract, a management contract with a company and also a production company to work with our material to record a record. So we put a record out in 1995. It did pretty well. We, again, playing those same venues in Philadelphia and through New York, downtime in New York, played the Mercury Lounge, opening for Better Than Ezra. And so that was a great experience. Recorded an entire album, as I said, and we got interest from major label record companies. And so had the ability to get out in front of companies. And the music industry in itself is very challenging. Getting a record deal back in the 90s was just part of the experience and part of the growth as a band. That's just the beginning. You have to tour, you have to support yourself. And I was working full time, married and working full time. My lovely wife had the kind nature to visit with me with all the shows that I played up in New York, and I was getting home at 4 in the morning on some of these shows, so it was quite an experience. So I'll pause there, and I don't know if you have any other questions, but I'll keep going with the story.
Yes. I mean, I of course, as he's telling that story, I'm remembering some of it.
Yeah.
Especially the early memories of him, in high school, and we shared some musical interest even at that time. I remember. Yeah. Tell us about that part of it. Your musical influences. Absolutely.
So I grew up, again, a child of the '80s. So I was listening to bands like REM, The Cure, Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Graham Parker and the Rumor. So that was kind of my influence, and of course the Beatles. Everyone's influenced by the Beatles. I'd say, you know, making music in the 90s, it was somewhat competitive. Bands like Third Eye Blind, Matchbox 20, when you're trying to get a record deal in the 90s, it becomes challenging. I would say that the band, the Bathers, you know, we kind of lost our fire and our steam after taking a couple runs up to New York and trying to do that. But I, as a songwriter, wasn't going to stop. So, you know, it's in my blood. It's something I like to do. I have 2 children now, and I work full time, and I try to instill in my kids interest in music, whether it be playing in concert bands, whether it be singing, acting, whatever that might be. My older daughter is interested. She's playing drums now. My younger daughter wants to be an actress, wants to sing. So it's a very inspiring time for me right now as a person that has, you know, a full-time job, but then I also play music on the side. It's still a big interest of mine.
Yes, it's really great because it's sort of like almost that passing of the baton, although you're still holding it too, because I know you're still very much involved in the music business.
Absolutely.
Now, you have a new EP
right.
that just came out pretty recently.
Sure, this one's called Narrow Path. I recorded this this year, worked with a guy named Cliff Hillis as the producer. I have this trio that I work with now. Is Gary Houck is on drums, Nick Priestnitz on bass guitar. I elicited some help from some Philadelphia veterans, including Mike Slow-Mo Brenner, plays pedal steel, lap steel, all sorts of different instruments. Rosie McNamara Jones, who was in Mike's band called The Low Road. So I was very fortunate to have those guys play on this recording. Some of the previous recordings that I've done, I've gotten some airplay on WXPN in Philadelphia. So very fortunate there. So if I could just dial back real quickly. After, you know, this band, the Bathers, kind of split up, I still was involved with these folks, this management company up in New York, and there came an opportunity to have one of my songs in a film. So actually a movie, it's M. Night Shyamalan's first movie called Wide Awake. My song, Pint of Nails, was in that film. It was his first film, and it's your 15 minutes of fame, but I had about 31 seconds of fame with this song, Pint of Nails. So it was nice to do something like that for Miramax Films and to be involved.
That was a good one, too.
Yeah, and it was a good song and a great opportunity. But me as a songwriter, I continue to write, I continue to play throughout the area. So.
Yes. Now, you're really a gifted songwriter. Is there a process? What is that all about? Can you explain? You know, what happens when the idea comes?
Yeah, sure. It comes in 2 ways for me. It comes from me playing a certain riff on a guitar or a certain strumming pattern. Usually these ideas just create themselves as I'm writing. I don't typically, as a writer, come up and think of an idea or concept to say I'm going to write this particular song, it's going to be thematic, or it's going to be this and that and the other thing. But I think as far as wanting to write for other people, that's where I kind of like to cultivate ideas. I had the pleasure of working with my own daughter. I wrote a song for her, and she released it in 2016 called Soar, so that was pretty neat. So I had the ability to write a song for someone else, and that's something of interest to me.
Yes, look that song up, Soar. That's a good one. So if someone, now we'll talk about this a little bit later too at the end, but someone's watching and they're really interested in learning more about what you do and about your music. You know, we're based in the Philadelphia area here at Cherry Hill, but you know, you play, I know that you do venues in certain areas within, you know, wineries and different places. So tell us also about what you're doing there.
Where people could find out about my music is www.joemorales.com. And then there's another website called www.joemoralestrio.com, which is this new release, which is Narrow Path. Very exciting time for this recording. I'm very excited about it, and we're going to be playing some dates in the new year.
Yeah, so I know that just looking at his social media and the website, I mean, he's busy. He's really playing a lot. I think right now you seem to be as busy as you've ever been with it.
Yeah, and part of that interest level is, you know, I work a full-time job, but I also want to keep myself busy, and, you know, with saving for college and things like that, you want to bring some residual income in. So part of it's playing covers, part of it's playing my original music. I continue to try to license my material, my songs as a songwriter. So absolutely. And one of the core tenets of my music is my faith. So I think that's important too. I play a lot of Christian coffee houses. I play bars, I play restaurants, I play a variety of places. So
yes, that's true. And you know, the name of this show is The Positive Side, and you know, it's a new show, and every week there's a different focus. And I think with Joe, he's got a great life, a super mission, and that faith too. You know, that's an aspect of his music, and he's going to give us a little demo soon, so you can hear exactly, you know, what his music sounds like, and maybe think about even coming out to see him someplace, or getting a hold of that Amazon, right? It's on Amazon?
Amazon too, as well as cdbaby.com, iTunes.
Yes. So Joe Miralles, we'll be right back. See you soon.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVNTV.
There you go, Richard. Oh! Is that too hard for you?
No. Is it too hard for you?
Woo! We're playing catch now. Oh, shit.
Hi, welcome back to The Positive Side. I'm Amanda Santos, and I am joined by my own brother, so it's great to have him here, Joe Miralles. He is a musician, singer, and songwriter. So he's actually going to play a little bit of his music for us. This is one of my favorite tunes. Tell us about it.
So this song called Church Downtown, I was fortunate enough to co-write this song with a guy named Paul Coleman. He is a Christian singer-songwriter, and he's out of Nashville, originally from Australia. He was in a band called the Newsboys. I reached out to him, believe it or not, on Facebook, and he responded listening to my music and thought I had some really good material. So I went down to Nashville in 2013. I wrote this song with him, and it's called Church Downtown, and I have it out on my release 5, which I did in 2015. So hope you like it. I'm going to play a little bit of it. Working this 9 to 5, man, this ain't the life. It's only Monday morning, and I wish it was Saturday night. We'll be under the city lights, wishing that we could buy the party until the morning. There's nothing else like Saturday night, but I'm going to the church downtown. No one's gonna put me down. Where I feel your arms around, love comes down, love comes down. When I feel uptight, it's like you're turning on a light. Gonna leave it all behind.
love that one. That's a good one. That came out, was about 4 or 5 years ago?
No, that's 2015 on a CD called 5. And you can get that on CD Baby. It's joemiralles.com. You can also go to CD Baby and just type in Joe Miralles, the CD 5.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking as you were playing, you know, he does a lot of venues where people are listening, they're drinking coffee, they're drinking a glass of wine, you know, things like that. You're there and you're watching the people. You know, music does something to people's souls.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean,
yeah,
you know, the interaction with people.
Absolutely. So depending on what venue I'm playing, and I always try to involve the audience, as some of you may know when I play. A lot of my songs are positive. I try to be uplifting, and the songs have content that usually is about redemption, about growth, about personal integrity. So I really do enjoy interacting with the audience too, but I think they get something out of it.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned personal integrity, because I think with music and songwriting, anything that can bring you up instead of down, the good things of life, the things, you know, the values of life. Mm-hmm. Because especially, you know, in today's day and age, I mean, we need that. We need that positivity. We need that having faith, you know, and I think that your music does do that. I know for myself.
Absolutely.
It's such a journey. You know, you've been on such a great journey.
Yeah, and I continue to want to write, and I continue to evolve as a songwriter. I know that the guys that I play with now has said that I've even evolved. There was a period where I was kind of playing by myself, playing mostly acoustic, and then I found these two musicians that I'm playing with now who are great assets to me, but also to each other as far as songwriting is concerned. So we really do love playing together, and it's been a great experience and a great ride for me. I've had many ups and downs in music, but I'm inspired. Every time that someone buys a CD, I'm inspired. Every time someone says something positive or enjoys the music, so absolutely.
Yes, and I know that sometimes when you do some of the venues, you will play some covers too.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, are there certain songs that you kind of, or artists that you go toward when you do those covers?
Absolutely. So as a songwriter, someone growing up in the 80s, I usually like to do my own spin on different songs. So I'll do a David Bowie song. I'll do a Elvis Costello song. I might throw Elvis Presley in there. I might throw the Beatles in there. But I do tend to like to gravitate towards my own original versions of those, depending on what it is. So I don't have a full band usually when I'm playing solo. It's usually myself and my drummer Gary, who plays with me also. So it's a lot of fun.
Yes. Now, you know, that typical like talk show question is, what do you see, or do you have a feeling about which direction, you know, things could be going in? Are you just kind of letting it roll out and see what God presents, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so I think authenticity is really important, and I've always kind of stuck to the style of music that I like to do, whether some might think it's dated or not. I tend to gravitate towards authenticity and being myself. I think that's really important. Musicians that can maintain that authenticity and continue to write the style that they feel most comfortable in, I think is important. There are so many trends and changes that happen in music on a daily basis. I think the thing that sustains most bands and musicians or songwriters is that their own integrity with their own music, that they continue to evolve, but then they stay true to who they really are. It makes them feel most comfortable.
Yes, and I think when you look at sort of some of the long-term artists, say I'm thinking of someone like Paul McCartney.
Or U2.
Or U2 or something. Yeah, you still see that, you know, they're evolving. So, you know, the way I see it, Joe, I mean, being your sister, I mean, I've seen those phases, and I just see it's all going, you know, in a really even more larger direction. You're on this show today. This is great. I don't think this is the first time he's going to be on a show. I think this is just one of those, you know, a beginning moment.
Sure.
And there's lots more. You know, I entertain a lot of guests. You know, I'm over the age of 50. He is too. I mean, 50's not, it's kind of the beginning for many of us, you know, that, you know, we have so much more to give. You know, I think no matter what age we're at, whether we're over 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
Well, it's never too late to start.
Never too late.
To do something that you love and you're passionate about. I think that at any age, if you're passionate enough, it's going to show and you're going to enjoy it. It doesn't have to bring financial reward. It can bring reward, you know, for you personally.
That's right, right. And for others, yes. I mean, I think the one thing, as he mentioned before, it's really threaded through his own songwriting, is that perseverance, the faith, personal integrity. You know, there's some of the aspects that I see and feel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you see, this is something, you know, Narrow Path, this is his newest, and I know that you're always thinking of sort of the next step with music. Do you see yourself doing something else after this?
Yeah, so what I wanted, I mean, this is really my 5th release, my 6th release actually. And I'll continue to write and I'll continue to play as long as I can. Maybe not in a full-scale band setting, but I'll always be a writer and I'll always play as long as I can. The evolution of my writing, I'd like to be able to write, record the entire, and produce the entire record myself rather than outside resources, but do it all. So I do play drums too, so I am also playing on some of my own recordings, some of the earlier stuff, so that kind of comes back into play.
They say that once you say something like that, that's the first step. You know, so you've said that, and hey, I think it's going to happen. Now, there's somebody probably watching right now. He might be a younger guy or a girl, woman, that, you know, they want to get into this business. They want to start. What advice can you give them?
Again, it's never too late to try something, whether it's learning how to play guitar and picking it up. Guitar playing and singing and songwriting doesn't come by osmosis. You don't learn it from others. I mean, you can in lessons and learning in lessons, but I think you have to have some preliminary skill as far as, you know, I would say a raw type of talent. I think that's really important. Raw talent is something that, having that grit and that raw talent is really something. I mean, it can really drive you to want to do this or do anything that you want to do.
Yes, because he has, with his aspect, as he said, singer, songwriter, musician, his raw talent is that he had the songwriting, a good voice, able to play multiple instruments. Tell us about that. I mean, he does
playing guitar and playing drums mostly. I consider myself more of a songwriter than a actual fantastic guitar player, but I like to get better and to produce better results for that matter. So yeah.
Yes, yes, and I know his daughter. You know, both of his daughters are involved in music. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mentioned that earlier. My daughter's beginning to play drums, learning, and again, I always say to them, I said, you have to have the passion for it, and the passion starts from, you know, motivating yourself, but also trying to motivate yourself enough to want to take lessons, to want to learn, to want to develop. So. Yes.
So, you know, I've learned so much from this interview. Is there anything else that you would want to leave with us? You know, any type of, you know.
No, I just want to say thank you for inspiring me. This is great that you have this show. I think it's fantastic. Your family should be very proud, and I know we are. So congratulations on your show.
Thank you. So this has been Joe Miralles, my brother, my friend, musician, singer, songwriter. Thanks for joining us on The Positive Side. I'm Ann DeSantis.